So today in this video, we will be going through two different topics in software engineering. The different software development life cycle model, the traditional classical waterfall model, and also some I'll be giving some inputs to the latest technology, that is Agile software development model. Okay, so now we can actually go to the agenda. So today I'll be dealing with the basic introduction of software engineering, then the software development life cycle, then the steps which is involved in software development life cycle model, and also the agile development of agile software development model. So here I'll be what my plan is like. I'll be explaining the software development life cycle in connection with the real life example, and maybe you will be able to connect with that particular example a little bit. So everybody will be familiar with the term software engineer or a software engineering. What is actually software engineering? Software engineering is an engineering approach to develop a particular software. What is a software? Software is actually a collection of programs that will be for a particular application. One example of software is like even WhatsApp is actually a software. Everybody will be using that. So it's a collection of programs and it's a software. And even the Microsoft Word is a software, and even the payroll management system for a particular employee in a company, that itself is a software. So here software engineering deals with developing, designing, implementing and maintaining a particular software. So the ultimate aim of the software engineering is to produce a high quality software with a low cost. So again I will be explaining that software engineering can be defined as an engineering approach to develop a particular software. Now let us turn to what is actually a software development life cycle. So software development life cycle is a process of developing a particular software. For developing anything, that will be following through different phases of steps of stages. So here I will be explaining what all stages a particular software will go through before its development as into a final product. So there are different life cycle models or the software process models, such as classical waterfall model, then the prototype model, the iterative waterfall model, then spiral model, then rapid application development model. So in this particular session I will be dealing with the classical waterfall model, that is actually a basic model for software development life cycle. So we can see that the software development life cycle is it's actually the model and methodology which will be constituting a particular development of a software. So here the different stages or the steps in developing a particular software is, first one is the analysis phase, or we can call it as a feasibility study. Second phase is requirements gathering phase. Third one is the design phase. Fourth one is the coding or implementation phase. Fifth one is the testing phase, and the sixth one is the maintenance phase. So I will be explaining all these stages, and also I will be explaining I'll be giving an analogy to this particular software development life cycle with a construction of a particular house. So right now we'll be discussing the first phase, that is analysis phase. What do you mean by an analysis phase? Analysis phase we'll be dealing with the technical and financial feasibility of developing any software or anything. So analysis deals with the feasibility study of a particular project or developing a particular software. So in the analysis phase, what we are actually doing is we will try to actually analyze the technical and financial feasibility of developing a particular software. That means whether the particular software, whether the budget we have, or whether the financial requirements we have, or whether the technical requirements we have, with the requirements whether we will be able to develop a full-fledged software. So, when we take into consideration the construction of a particular house, first in the analysis phase definitely what we will be doing is we will go and look for a particular land whether we can construct a particular house there. So, based on that, and also what is the budget of building constructing a particular house. So, you with the basic limitation, that is with the financial conditions and also with the technical things or the financial conditions you have, you will be definitely going for building a particular house. So, that is about analysis phase. In the analysis phase, I will explain it once more. It will be like, it is the main goal of this particular phase is to determine the technical and financial feasibility of developing a particular software. So, here we will be taking into consideration the project cost, equipment cost, and also how we can actually implement it practically. The second phase is like the requirements gathering phase. So, the requirement gathering phase is we will try to collect the requirements for the functional and technical requirements for building a particular software. That means which all are the functionalities related to which all are the functionalities which we need to develop which we need to be implemented for developing a particular software. So, here in the requirement gathering phase, we will be analyzing different requirements for developing this particular software. So, the outcome of this particular stage is SRS document, that is software requirement specification document. So, in that particular documents, you will be documenting every requirement that every requirement or the functionalities that the software should have during its final outcome as a product. So, here actually we will be dealing with the important aim is like we will be trying to understand the system completely, that is how that particular, what are the requirements and what are the functionalities that we need to be included into that particular software. So, the third phase, so here when you take into consideration of constructing a particular house, we will be having the requirements like we want to construct a first floor, a single storied house or a double storied house, or what is actually the square feet requirement of the particular house, or what type of how many rooms you require, what is the size of each room, what should be the framework of that particular so everything will be actually designed in everything will be written in a particular document, or when we construct a house, the customer or the particular person will be having clarity about all the requirements that he needs to be implemented into that particular house. Okay, now we will go to the third phase, that is the design phase. Design phase is actually called the blueprint of a particular system. Blueprint means it is actually design, how we are going to solve or how we are going to make a particular product. So, for making a particular product, what will be, how you are actually going, see what are the methodologies you are using for solving that particular problem. So, here in this design phase, what we will be doing, we will be taking the SRS document, or we will be taking the requirements which is specified in the SRS document, and we will be mapping that into the design phase. You will take all the functionalities and all the requirements, and each functionalities need to be designed. And here in this one, so this is something like a plan. So, when we try to construct, when we construct a particular house, when we consider about the design phase, it will be the plan which we have for the particular, for constructing a particular house. In the plan you will be having, it is like a blueprint for constructing a house. You will be having the requirements, what is the square feet of the entire house, how many stories it have, everything will be designed properly. And finally, the fourth stage is the implementation stage. Implementation stage is, okay, the implementation stage is the fourth stage. In this particular stage, we will try to map the requirements that is there in the design document, and we will try to code that. So, the software engineer will code this particular each and every functionality in the particular software. So, in the coding phase, the software design is translated or it is transformed into a source code in any programming language. The software engineer can use any programming language which he wishes, or any latest technology which he wants to implement that particular software. So, here when you take into consideration of constructing a particular house, implementation deals with constructing or building a particular house. The laborers will be constructing the particular house. In the next phase, we will be dealing with the testing phase. So, software testing deals with testing finally the software is actually implemented, finally you have a particular software. Now, our aim is to find out whether all the requirements have been mapped into a particular software, all the requirements. So, we need to test that particular software. So, testing the software is the main aim to test the software is to find out whether all the requirements have been properly implemented or any error is present or any fault is there in that particular software. If any fault is there, after software testing we will be able to understand, okay, these requirements are not working, and then you can rework on that particular module or that particular function. So, testing phase ensures that the defects are recognized in the software before delivery of the particular software or before making into a final product. So, the last phase is the maintenance. So, when you consider this one as an analogy to constructing a house, software testing deals with the testing phase. It deals with whether the house have been constructed based on the requirements given by the customer, whether all the square feet requirements, all the requirements of the room, everything is actually proper or not. So, the last stage is the maintenance phase. So, maintenance phase is one important of software development life cycle. So, here maintenance, see, finally after implementation we will be we will be delivering the product to the customers. So, to the clients, we will be delivering the products to the clients, and after delivering the products, if any bugs or if any fault is found out from that particular product, we can actually make changes to that particular product. So, here in the maintenance phase, we will try to find the changes in the software after delivery. So, maintenance is actually fixing the bugs. So, here when you consider as an analogy to analogy as a construction of house, in the maintenance means after maybe 3 or 5 years after construction of the house, we will definitely do some maintenance to our house. It is similar to, so we can finally understand that developing a particular software will go through different phases, will go through 6 important phases, and each phase is very much important in this particular life cycle. So, this particular development life cycle is called the classic waterfall life cycle model. So, the limitation is like this particular model does not have any feedback attached to this one. So, an extended version of the waterfall model is like iterative waterfall model, where each phase is iterated again. If some any refinement is if refinement has to be done in each phase, any feedback is actually given to each phases until the client is satisfied with the requirements and also the product. So, now we will be dealing with this. Till now we were dealing with a traditional classic waterfall model. Right now in the software industry, all the development it happens in all the development is actually going through agile software development technology. The term agile software development or the term agile deals with it's like quick to change and move. So, the changes, so in this particular particular software development, the changes comes very quickly and rapid changes come and the requirements change very rapidly. So, according to the changes encountered, the developers and also the software team should be well equipped to adapt to those changes, and also they should be able to deliver, or they should be able to develop and they should be able to take into consideration all the new requirements which is coming through, and also they should be able to implement it and incorporate into the software. So, here in Agile software development, I will actually explain that. See, in this particular software development, the requirements and solution for a software development, it evolves through a collaborative self-organizing method. Okay, this session we will be focusing on Agile software development methodology. So, in nowadays in the software industry, every project they are actually using this Agile software development methodology. The term Agile means quick to change or rapid. So, in this particular Agile development software development methodology, the requirements change in a very quick manner. Like the change of requirements can come quickly, and the software developers or the team should be able to adapt to those changes, and they need to implement those changes into the particular software. So, here the whole cooperation among the different team members are required for building such a software, and also cooperation in the sense the collaboration of all different teams. The teams we will be in usually in Agile software development technology, they will be using cross-functional teams. Cross-functional team means each team will be having an expertise in a particular area. So, usually in Agile software development methodology, they will be having a testing team, they will be having if the project is big, they will be having the separate testing team, they will be having a separate development team, they will be having different persons for at the on-site or at the client side for collecting the requirements. And also in this particular software development methodology, what they will be doing is how they implement that in the software field is, daily they will be having some call with all those stakeholders involved. That means all the team members in the on-site, that means at the client side as well as in the development team, all the teams will be involved, and on that call itself they will be given the responsibilities. That means, okay, this particular thing, this particular person needs to be done, this particular thing needs to be done by this particular person, and all the status that means the progress will be tracked daily. That means the project status will be tracked daily, and also the product delivery, actually it is like product delivery will be done within weeks. Like with the requirements which will have, the product delivery will be done, and some other changes or the requirements will come, again they will incorporate those changes, and then they will be delivering the product. So, here in this particular Agile software development technology, they will be using adaptive planning. They will be using they like planning. See, again they need to replan it, reschedule it. Again the planning will be like adaptive planning, and then early delivery, and also the continual improvement. So, the delivery of the product will be very much fast. So, each person will be responsible for a particular module, and that particular, if a query is related to that particular module, that particular person will be asked, and he will be having the expertise to respond to those things. And if a bug or an error is arising, he should be able to clear that, and that too within a specified time. So, this particular technology, it will be encouraging a rapid and flexible response to change. So, usually in software industry, most of the teams are going through this particular, because they do not have time, they do not have that much time to implement all those things. So, the work will be actually divided among the cross functional teams, and then the status will be tracked. So, the product delivery is also ensured within the time. So, I will be discussing some of the Agile software development principles. So in Agile software, so by implementing this particular Agile software development principles, the customer satisfaction will be much more, because what all requirements the client is actually saying, the developers or the software engineers are bound to implement those things. So whenever they find a good feature that has to be implemented in their software or their product, they will be asking that, and the particular team which will be working for that particular product, they will be incorporating those changes. So the second one is like welcoming change requirements. Like if a change is there, the particular team which is working for that particular change, they will actually do how that has to be done and everything, and the change will be incorporated within some limited time. And the delivery of the particular working software, it will be done weekly. Like we don't have to wait till the end for a product delivery. So with the current requirements, how that particular product is, we will be able to deliver that into the for the client side. So here I have already mentioned regarding the collaboration and cooperation regarding the people involved in this particular Agile software development and development. So here the collaboration means the collaboration among the business people, the collaboration among the project managers, the collaboration among the team leads, and also the programmers or the developers who are actually involved in this particular project. So this particular product is built around motivated individuals. So these particular Agile software development, will be actually given this particular the products or the responsibility given to the person who has got very good expertise in that particular area. And face to face, even in this particular team, they will be having a face to face video conferencing at least once in a month to ensure whether the project or the product development is going in a proper phase, or what all are the issues that need to be addressed. So here we have actually dealt with the two important technologies. First one is software development lifecycle model, that is the classical waterfall model, and the second one is the Agile software development process. So Agile software development process, as I have already told, that it is a current trend in which all the software companies are actually using this particular software development which is using for the software development, which will be involving the rapid changes in the requirements, and also the delivery of the product will be given within the limited time, and also high quality product is ensured. Okay, so now I will be just recollecting what all things we have actually seen in this particular session. So we have seen what is actually a software engineering, and then we discussed regarding different phases in the classical waterfall software development lifecycle model. That is, the different phases involve the analysis phase, requirements gathering phase, the design phase, the coding or the implementation phase, testing phase, and the maintenance phase. And last we have discussed regarding the Agile software development model. So hope you have understood this one. Thank you so much. Today we will be going through some of the basic principles in research methodology. Hope you all know about research. Actually, what is actually research? Research is any new contributions to the existing work, or if any research area is there, if you are contributing something new to the existing work, that is actually called research. So the agenda of my talk is, I will be discussing regarding the definition of research methodology, what is the research. Then we will be dealing with the research process. That is very important, because any researcher, before doing research, he should be able to understand what the research process is. And finally we will be dealing with the different components in a research paper, because everybody will be seeing a research paper. Everybody so to understand a particular research paper, first you need to understand what are the different components in that particular research paper. So I will be dealing with the definition of research. According to Clifford Woody, the research, it is defined as, So the research is defined as defining and redefining of the problem, then formulating the hypothesis, or hypothesis can also be called the suggested solutions. Formulating the hypothesis, collecting, organizing and evaluating the data, and finally making deductions from the results which you have obtained, and then reaching conclusions. And at the last stage we will be comparing the hypothesis which you have put forward and with the results which you have, whether the hypothesis will be fitting with the inferences and the conclusions drawn. So, okay. So, research can be called as something new contribution to the existing research. So, research is creating new knowledge. It is actually a famous quote about research which is told by Neil Armstrong. So, research is actually an objective and subjective effort to gain knowledge. So, research is an investigation or an inquiry of finding some new facts in any domain of knowledge. Research is not only limited to computer science domain alone. Any research, any domain we can actually do the research. Okay, okay. So, here I will be dealing with about the definition of research. So, research is defining and redefining problems. What do you mean by refining? And before doing research, you should be having you should have a problem in your hand. So, you need to define a particular problem. So, problem definitions needs to be done. So, you need to define and redefine the problem, and you have to formulate a particular hypothesis. Hypothesis means suggested solutions. Suggested solution means, see, for a particular problem you will be having that, okay, these all can make the solutions to this particular problem. So, before formulating the hypothesis, we should be able to review the different concepts and different research works in the literature, because when we have to formulate a hypothesis, definitely we need to understand what is the research that has actually happened till now. Then only you will be able to make a new research proposal, or you will be able to make a you will be able to formulate a hypothesis. So, in the computer science domain, before doing research, you should actually, when you select a problem itself, you should make sure that already the data set related to that particular problem is available, or you will be able to get the data set. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you to test your particular proposed framework if you don't have any benchmark data set. So, first you need to define a particular problem. Next step is to review the literature, because what all existing works are there. Reviewing a literature can be done through reading different research papers, or going through different research articles or any books. So, the third step is formulating hypothesis. The next step is finding a particular design. So, in computer science, research design means you are trying to find out some methodology which will suit to work your problem, or which will help you to solve the particular problem. So, you need to design your research. So, after that, after you have put forward a research proposal, then you can apply that particular, you need to implement that particular research work. You need to implement that particular research work in any programming language, and then you need to test whether the hypothesis which you have put forward, it will be actually giving you results or not. So, after that, after putting forward this particular research, after putting forward this research design, you have to actually test this particular research that proposed method using the benchmark data set. After using the benchmark data set, after getting the result, you need to compare your result with existing work which is already there to analyze whether your method is performing better or not. So, finally, you can analyze the data by means of quantitative and qualitative analysis. So, based on the quantitative and qualitative analysis, you will be able to interpret whether your method, the method which you have proposed or the research which you are doing, it is giving good results. That means, if you are finding or if you are trying to make some contributions to the new domain, definitely you will be able to publish your work in a very good journal. Okay, finally, so this I have already told that hypotheses are actually tentative or suggested solutions. Okay, these are the steps which I have already discussed. You can actually go through these particular steps. Now, finally, I will be discussing you with the components of the research paper. So, research paper is an important article. So, research paper is an important thing which we need to read before you do your research. So, we have different components of the research paper. First one is the title of the paper. So, this particular title will be describing precisely the core contents of your paper. And abstract. Abstract is actually the summarization of the contribution or the work which you have done in the particular research. So, that is the abstract. The third one is the introduction. Introduction means you will be introducing the research area. You will be writing the basic introduction about that particular research area. Then what is the motivation, why you have selected that particular research area, and also the challenges which actually you have to overcome for doing this particular research. The fourth one is the literature review. I have already told that for making a project proposal or for making a proposal, you should be thorough with the literature which is actually available in the which is already available. So, you need to be expertise with the literature which is present in the scientific community. So, next is you have to analyze the existing work, and also for putting the project proposal you can identify the gaps in the literature. So, finding out the gaps in the literature will help you to put a proposal, and also it will be able to help. So, the next one is the proposed method. In the proposed method you can actually implement this particular method, and this particular new method or framework present in the paper will be discussed in the proposed method section. So, next is the result analysis. So, in result analysis you will be presenting the research finding in the quantitative and qualitative analysis, and also you can provide the inferences of the results which is actually obtained. Finally, the conclusion. Conclusion is summarizing your contributions of your work. And then acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is mentioning or giving credit to the people, those who have helped or provided any fruitful discussions for aiding your research. And the last one is a reference, the list of scientific papers or the books which are referred for completing your research. So, this is about the components of the research paper. So, we have discussed regarding what is research, what is actually the research process, and also the components of the a good research paper. Thank you so much.